I'm going to give you a quick little primer on the kind of stuff that you need to get started drawing. If you're interested in getting your kids, nieces, nephews, all that kind of stuff into drawing, how to get them started, how to encourage them, and how to get them, how I got started a long time ago. So it's pretty basic. And yeah, we'll go over a bunch of stuff, and I'll show you some neat stuff, some stuff from the vault, a few things from the Geek Vault. I'll show you about drawing comic books and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I guess we'll get started here. The first thing that you need if you're going to draw is a very cool t-shirt. This is my Christmas present to myself. Here's my my Deadpool t-shirt. So that's my motivation for today. And let's get started. Like any other art project, you need something to draw on. And for the most basic things you can do, I just use paper. Just plain white 20-pound copy paper. You can buy it pretty cheaply at like Staples or something like that, or just steal it from your office. Nobody will know. Just white copy paper works just fine. If you want to, you can get sketchbooks for your kids. If kids are just learning, or if you're just learning, the best thing to do is just go to the dollar store and buy yourself a notebook. You can get like a 250-page lined paper, spiral-bound notebook for not $1 anymore, probably about $1.50 or $2 at this point. But most of your early stuff's just going to be doodles and scratchy type stuff, just to get used to drawing and that sort of thing. So it's probably better off just doing that. And the lined paper actually helps you kind of keep stuff level and plan things out and kind of judge proportions and that sort of thing too. So it's not a bad way to go, and it's cheap. And like I said, you're probably not going to keep most of it, even the kids' stuff. So you don't want to spend a ton of money on that. If you do want to graduate from there, you can buy sketchbooks of all kinds. I've got at least a dozen sketchbooks that I've had sitting around since I was a kid. Some of them I've kept, a lot of them I've just lost over the years, and a lot of them I just tear the pages out and give things away, so they're pretty much empty, but they come in all shapes and sizes. Here's one of my bigger ones that I have. Here's Parco Delgado from DMZ. That's one of those ones there. And I might have used this for a life drawing course at one point. So here's Luca and I drawing a bunch of Digimon and other stuff like that. So my kids use my sketchbooks as much as I do. And you can get small stuff too. You can pick this one up at Indigo. It's about $8. It's a nice sketchbook. It's actually got some pretty decent quality paper in it. It's perforated, so you can tear up the ones that you want to keep or give away. Like I said, I give away a lot, so I've got a lot of missing pages. But yeah, it's actually a pretty good quality sketchbook. There's my little Spider-Man there. There's my little Joker. A nice little easy to carry around kind of thing. Jack Skellington, more Spider-Man. There's even a Donald Trump in here. Oh, there's a Donald Trump in there. All that kind of stuff. And again, I can't seem to keep a sketchbook around without my kids drawing. Here's Luca's one-piece contribution there as well. So that's about it there. That's the basics. So paper of any kind really works well. You can get yourself a newsprints, the pads, and all that kind of stuff. But that's the basics. Aside from that, pencils, stuff to draw with. This is a standard number 2 HB pencil, a school pencil that everybody has. Number 2 is the size, if you didn't know, so the thickness of the pencil. That's what the number 2 stands for. And HB represents it being basically in the middle of the scale in terms of how hard or soft the lead is. If you're working with these kind of pencils, H means hard, B means something else, which I forget, but it basically translates into soft. And if you graduate from there, you can get something like this. I use a lot of Stettler products, Mars Lumograph stuff. They make products for artists, but they also make products for people in technical designs, architects, and that sort of thing. And if you get a set, make sure you get a very wide-ranging set that covers the H's and the B's. As I mentioned, the HB is right here in the middle. And if you go in either direction, this side here is H, so that means those are the hard lead pencils. And to the left are the B's, which are the soft leads. And so you'll get an H, 2H, 3H, 4H, and then the other way, 2B, 3B, 4B. And they get harder or softer the further, the higher up in the numbers you go. The difference being this, basically, a soft pencil is a lot like charcoal. The leads are very soft. They'll wear out very quickly. They're big and fat. You can use them to draw very dark lines without having to press very hard. Like the graphite comes off very quickly, and you'll have to sharpen them a lot because they wear down very quickly. But you can use the sides for shading and that sort of thing. And because it lets off a lot of graphite, you can use your thumb to smudge it if you want to make shadows and all that kind of stuff. The other side, the one I use most often for drawing, is the higher H pencils. So this is a 5H, and more often than not, I'll use a 6H. They're super hard, which means that the leads are a bit finer. You sharpen them and they maintain their point a lot longer. The lines that they draw are very fine and very light, which is perfect if you're just laying stuff out, you're drawing quick sketches and you want to just sort of figure out where everything goes, and then you go back with a softer pencil or a marker to do some inking to do your final drawing, which is what happens a lot in comic books and a lot of art projects. So once I do my pencil sketches, as I did here for this Leia portrait that I posted the other day, I'll do all this in pencil first, and then come back with either a fine tip black marker, and this is just an inexpensive Staples brand black fine tip marker that I use pretty much for all this. So if you see these fine black lines here, that's what I outlined them with, just something basic like that. You can buy Pentel brush pens and that sort of thing that run $20, $30 a pop. That's for more advanced artists and guys who are inkers in comic books or graphic designers and that sort of thing. Buy those kind of products, so they need some better products with finer control and that sort of thing. But that's the basic thing you can use. And aside from that, I also just use Sharpies. You can find them. You can use like the off-brand ones, the no-name ones, but I like Sharpies. They maintain their points, they last longer, so you do get what you pay for. So I like Sharpies. And a really good thing to have is one of these. It's actually a paint pen. This is a white paint pen. You generally cannot pick them up at Staples, but you can get them at Michael's, the craft store, or you can get these at Curry's art store or any art supply store that you go to. And basically it works just like a marker, but you shake it up. It's got some paint inside. You have to press it down on the page a couple of times to get the paint flowing. But if you filled in a field with a dark color, and you want to do some white highlights and stuff, this is the best way. It's like doing stars in the sky and all that sort of thing. This is probably the best way to do it. It's a lot easier to do this than it is to try and color in dark around and leave little white spots around. It doesn't really work out very well. It's easier just to fill in a big field and then go back with something like this and do your highlights. And it comes in all different colors, but the white is the only one that I really use. And it's good for fixing all your mistakes too, just so you know. And mentioning that, the other good thing to have around is correction tape. Correction tape or liquid paper, if you're using black markers or any markers of any kind, this comes in handy more often than not. Either a liquid paper pen, this white paint pen, something like that to correct all those little mistakes that you might make along the way, because we do make them. So once you go over it in marker and stuff like that, you might want to have things like erasers. This again is just a Mars Stettler product. I use a lot of their stuff. This is my Stettler Mars Lumograph sharpener. It's got a little case to catch all the pencil shavings and that sort of thing. You want something decent quality. If you buy cheap pencils and cheap sharpeners, the leads will keep breaking all the time, and they'll catch on the poor blades in the bad sharpeners and break all the time. So you'll just go through them very quickly. So this one runs you about $6, $7 for a decent one. And again, the pencils, if you're buying like 6H's and 5H's, like decent quality Stettler or Curry's or Art Brand type pencils, they'll run you about $1 each, but they'll last you a lot longer and you'll get much better results. But again, if you're just kids or yourself just starting off, a regular HB pencil works just fine. But get one of these or a kneaded. I don't really like the kneaded erasers, the gum ones that you can kind of play with and stuff. These white Mars erasers work really well. I like the white erasers because it doesn't transfer any color to the things that you're drawing. So that's about it. We'll get into coloring and stuff in a minute, but let's get into actually drawing. So the other thing you can grab is a clipboard. If you don't have a sketchbook, a clipboard comes in handy. You can buy them cheap again at the dollar store. I've had this one for 23 years, 24 years. I drew this picture probably sometime back in 1992, 95, somewhere around there. So it's been with me ever since, but it's just a place to keep all your paper and so that you can draw well and that sort of thing. You just do that, and that's pretty much it. Then you basically need some inspiration. So you got to figure out what you want to draw. So tablets come in handy. Tablets are awesome. Google Images is a wicked place to look for just stuff that you want to draw. Instagram is another awesome place. If you want to start following some comic book artists, there's guys like Terry Dodson, J. Scott Campbell, and stuff like that. Here's a Princess Leia tribute from Terry Dodson. And the one thing that I always wanted when I was a kid was a light box. It's basically a box with a plexiglass or a glass top with light bulbs underneath that shine light up so you can trace stuff. The best way to learn how to draw, I found, was to trace, especially as a kid. If you got your kids starting off, give them some of this blank paper. You can actually buy tracing paper. It's really expensive, so you don't really need it. But you can just give them this blank paper. You put it on top of a comic book, a newspaper, whatever you like, and just trace. After a while, your hands will pick up the fine motor skills that you need to do little tiny details, and you'll get faster and faster at doing the larger details, determining body size and proportions and that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. The other thing you can do, though, is like the light box that I said I always wanted. Your tablet is now a light box. You can just put this on top, and you can see the picture underneath. So what I like to do if I'm practicing or if I'm just trying to mess around, that's my Terry Dotson Leia thing. My friend Bruce Johnson was cooperative enough to post a photo today, so I'm going to use that one. So I want to draw Bruce, so I just take my paper and put it on top of my tablet. If you got some painter's tape around, that's the best thing you can use. Grab a couple pieces of painter's tape and tape the top and bottom of the paper to your tablet so it doesn't move. And it's still responsive, so you can still tap on the paper. You can resize the pictures underneath and move them around. The good thing with most tablets, though, is that they require your finger or some type of transmittable device, something that sends a bit of an electric signal through. They're mostly not too pressure sensitive, so you can use your pencil, which doesn't conduct electricity, right on your tablet, and it won't move the picture around. It's not as if that you're tapping. So if you're really careful, you can kind of use the pencil to trace and get the basic layouts of what the face looks like. And Bruce has got his big mouth open here with his big white teeth and his crazy Bruce Johnson eyes and his prominent Bruce Johnson nose. And so I'm doing this with a lighter pencil, and then you can go back. Don't use markers on your tablet. I will, because I know these won't go through. But don't let your kids do it, because that's not a good idea. And I've got liquid armor on my tablet, so I'm not too worried. But once you're done, you can pull it off. And as you can see, this is a super awesome representation of Bruce Johnson. Perfect. And then you can go in and fill in the details, looking at the image and that, and learn how to draw that way. So that's awesome. That's the basic stuff that you need. Again, I do use a lot of Stettler products, like I mentioned. I even use their rulers. They're really high quality Mars Lumograph type stuff. I've had these for years and years and years. If you take care of them, they'll last forever. Then you might want to get into coloring. So you can pick up tons of different kinds of pencil crayons. You'll see Crayola stuff. You'll see Laurentian and Prismacolor. They're just sort of off the shelf. The Laurentians and Prismacolors are a little bit more expensive. They're a little bit nicer. Again, I picked this up at Indigo. It's a 50-50 set, which basically means that the pencil crayons inside are double-ended. So each one is 2 different colors. Just makes it a little bit more compact, easy to carry around. They're pretty decent for just beginners and that sort of thing. If you want to move into the Laurentians and Prismacolors, those are a little bit better quality pencil crayons. If you really want to get going, then you can get into stuff like these ones from Lyra. These are from Germany, imported. I purchased these at a Comic-Con a little while ago. These are amazing. The colors are really intense. The leads are really soft, so the colors actually transfer really well. So these are the ones that I use when I'm working on my Geeky Agent comics. So most of the reds that you see here in the latest strip are from the red in this one here. And then you can pick up all different kinds of markers. I've got a bag full of Sharpies that I color with. So I just keep them in there. I use them whenever I need to. And really it is just sort of playing around with stuff. Then you can get into the more expensive stuff. This is a Prismacolor brush marker. Again, you can pick these up at art stores. It's double-ended. This end is a bit softer, like a brush. This is Caucasian flesh tone, and this is a bit finer tip for a bit more fine work. These ones will run you, I think I want to say $6 to $7 each, compared to a Sharpie, which is like $1.50, $2 each. But they last a long time, and they're really good for fine work, so that's pretty awesome. If you are using the tablets and you don't want to use paper, some new technology advancements make this so awesome. The best app that you can download on any tablet or any computer, it's what the professionals use, and you can download a free version, is Autodesk Sketchbook Pro. So if you look at Autodesk Sketchbook, it's loading up there. There's a little pencil symbol. It's kind of hard to see, sorry. But you'll pull it up, and it gives you basically a drawing space. It gives you a bunch of different types of pencils and pens and even airbrushes and stuff. So if you pull your stylus out, you can work away here. And then when you're done, you just erase it and you haven't wasted anything. You can do layers as well, and you can buy fancier pencils and pens, which professionals use. People anywhere from comic book artists to digital artists working for LucasArts doing Star Wars movies and stuff use this software. They use them on much larger tablets and faster computers, but they use this one. So Sketchbook Pro is probably the best app that you can get on any tablet. Right now, from my experience, my understanding is that the Microsoft Surface Pro 4 is the tablet of choice for most artists. If you're looking at comic book artists, digital artists and stuff, and you're looking to use a tablet, it's got the fastest response time. It's pretty powerful. You can download Sketchbook Pro onto it, use your stylus. Basically what you'll find with some of the cheaper tablets or the older tablets is when you're using your stylus, there's a lag. So as if you're drawing the circle, you're up here with your stylus and the circle is right about here, which if you're trying to draw, it just really throws you off. It's, yeah, you're just kind of always holding yourself back because you're not getting the proper flow into what you want to do. So that's a bit of a pain. You need something that's going to respond pretty quickly. And the Surface Pro 4, from what I understand, is what most professional artists are using at this point. Nothing wrong with the Mac products or even the other Android products, but the Surface Pro seems to be leading the pack right now. And now, just for a throwback to the Geek Vault, this is one of the things that just blew my mind when I was a kid and made me want to start drawing. You can't get these anymore. They don't do these anymore. But this was the new official Marvel tryout book. So this was a comic. This is a comic book. It's huge. That they put out once upon a time where you could try out to be a Marvel comic book artist. So they'll give you some examples of Marvel comic book stuff. They'll give you a bunch of page layouts with notations, a color grid, so you know how to color, and then sample pages, tips and tricks on how to draw, how to lay out pages, how to write stories, and how to transform them into a page. So you can do all that. And then at the back of the book, they actually gave you comic book pages. So this is a blank comic book page that comic book artists use. There's a bunch of grid lines here around the edges, and there's even a cover page template as well. So you could actually fill those out, go to a comic book convention, and go see an editor from Marvel or DC Comics, show them your stuff, and try to get a job working for Marvel or DC. You can buy these separately now. Blue Line is the company that makes them. Blue Line Comic Book Pages is the most popular one. They are in very light photo, what they call photo blue ink, so it doesn't show up when you copy. All you see is what you've drawn in there. So I've kind of highlighted a little bit of the grid here in darker colors, just so you can see. These markings are all around the edges, and what you do is just connect the lines to make your panels for your comic books. Like most people have seen comic books and square panels and that, and you can lay them out however you like. And this one is more of a traditional cover layout, so there's space for your logo here, space for your company info, your barcode or whatever, and then you can draw your image there. You can buy cover pages, you can buy interior pages at your local comic shop. You can probably order them on Amazon and that sort of thing. And if you got a really creative kid and you want to start doing stuff like that, they can translate their stories into their own comic books and then turn them into something like this. So this is a very traditional, this is an older Spider-Man comic. So again, you'll see the logo here, the company info, the issue number, the cost, and a little barcode at the bottom here. And these are more modern versions of it. So with the change in graphic design technology, the sky is the limit. I mean, some of the stuff kind of stays the same, but you can pretty much do whatever you want at this point just with computer technology. And this is just a kid's version of one, Invader Zim. It's pretty fun. So as you can see, all different kind of styles, all different kinds of stories are available. You can pretty much do whatever you want. Really, there's no limits. And that's pretty much it. The other good thing to have is a very big cup with a lot of water, because I talk a lot and I get thirsty, and that sort of thing, and coffee, and also an equally large mug. Coffee is good. So that's it for me. If you have any questions, please leave them below. If you have some kids that are drawing and you want some critique and you want some tips and tricks and that sort of thing, please feel free to send me their pictures. We can Skype and we can chat and I can give them some tips and stuff. Maybe I'll do another one of these about how to actually draw. But if you jump on YouTube, there's tons of tutorials around. I'd look for actual artist guys like Jim Lee, who will actually sit down in like an hour-long tutorial and teach you how to draw hands, faces, fingers, how to lay out pages, how to make superheroes and that sort of thing. Yeah, that's probably the best resource there, but I'm always around. And if you want to give me a shout, just email me, tony@thegeekyagent.com. Send me a message here through Facebook. Check out my YouTube channel. Pretty much anywhere online, just look for @thegeekyagent, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I'm there somewhere. And this has been fun. Hopefully, maybe I'll do another one of these. I'll get another funky t-shirt. I hope you like this one. This was, again, my Christmas present to myself, my little Deadpool t-shirt. And yeah. It's been fun talking to y'all, and as always, I'll talk to you soon. Take care, guys.